Welcome back. Are you addicted to your cell phone? Over half of teens admit being addicted to their smartphones. Some academics believe that smartphones even make people narcissistic. Jim, what can you tell us about this problem?
So I can tell you it is a constant battle even in my little house. I am happy to put the cell phone down whenever I can. Unfortunately, it seems I see it all over. I see it in restaurants, I see it in movie theaters, I see it in my home, I see it in school, I see it at work. It is just annoying.
Now, in all fairness, I think that there's a couple of points to make there. So, as a society, we're still getting used to this always being connected. So, from a work standpoint, I think that we have, an addiction that's driven by expectation that we have to be connected at all times. Now, the second thing I would bring up is I have a 15-year-old, almost, months shy, and he's not addicted to his phone. He's addicted to his phone and his laptop and his tablet and every other electronic device he owns, except for the TV. The TV is no longer a problem. That's the only thing that's no
Unless the
longer a problem.
Xbox is connected to it, right?
Yeah, but usually I'm playing that. So
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and my wife was joking with me the other night. Because I'm always on my phone for work, and I'm on my phone like this, and she says, "Hey, let me see your hand for a second." I'm like, "Why? What's up?" She's like, "Oh, okay. I just want to make sure it's not glued fast." So, it's definitely.
Have you heard of the thing
Can it
where
be
you go
addicting?
out
Yeah.
to eat? Where you go out to eat and you have everybody put their phones in the middle of the table.
First
and
person
then
to answer.
First person to pick up their phone because they have to check their phone is the one that buys dinner for everybody at the table.
I like that.
And at some point, we do have to take those measures, right? So my wife is an IT person as well, and both of us end up being glued to our phones, and eventually we just have periods of time that we decide as a family we're going to sit down and do family night,
And unplug.
eat dinner, whatever the case is, and no devices are allowed. And that's my point to the fact that this is, think about the fact that 20 years ago, none of this existed. As a society, we're still adjusting to how to deal with this.
So I think the bigger question is, how do you, as a parent, how do you regulate this? How do you moderate this? How do you deal with this with your teenagers or even preteens or however young?
Set an example.
Yeah,
number
one.
You have to put your phone down first.
Right, and number two.
Right, but then the stuff beyond that, they're still going to be on it. They're not going to.
Well,
But
and
there's an
second
app
part
for
is-
that.
Well, so 2 points. And, of course, a lot of us at this table are IT people. First of all, I just limit the network access.
Yep.
That's the first step.
That works very well.
The second part is that I still think from a mobile device standpoint, so when dealing with mobile networks, they need to come up with a program which is built into the system. When you buy your child a phone as a minor, you should have parental controls, which
Right.
really don't exist on
They don't.
mobile devices.
But you can get an app for it, and I
You can
found
get an
one
app
that's
for
very
it.
good. and-
However, your child, if they're bright enough, will be able to
And
get
you know
around
they're going to
it.
figure it out.
Because
So-
worst case, they'll just root their phone and start
Yep.
from scratch.
So
the
I
app
think
is
if
not very
you,
good.
But they
so I
can't do
think
that
the
as easily on
phone-
an iPhone.
But
Sure
I
they
think
can.
the provider should come up with something, because I remember I was at a conference and I was with a divorced mother, and she gets notification that her son's on the phone is going over his data allotment.
Right.
So she's at the conference, so apparently the son was with friends and they were headed somewhere. So obviously he's on his phone playing a game, which is using up data as they're traveling. And so she calls her ex-husband in order to have him contact the kid and contact the parents of the friend in order to deal with this, of like take his phone or turn it off or do something. And meanwhile, she had said the phone company service provider was supposed to shut something down or like block it so it doesn't go over.
Right, but they
because now she has to pay how
Yep.
many hundreds of dollars for this data overcharge because the block that they were supposed to have in place didn't work.
But
Well,
you know,
that's a frustration.
but the cell data usage is just a minor part of the problem, because most of the kids that I deal with, when they come home, they hook up to Wi-Fi and they don't have to worry about cellular data
Well,
anymore.
and therein lies the point, because I can control the Wi-Fi very
Yep.
closely.
That's
I
true.
can't control the mobile network. So what I would expect is for the mobile network, for the mobile network provider, to give me an option as a parent to be able to control the data usage for the
just
devices.
cut it off.
Because the reality of the matter is, if it's an emergency, they need to call 911. That's
Exactly.
voice. That's not data.
That's
Right.
why we want them to have the phone. That is our main reason, to call
Yes.
us and to call 911.
So let's go back to the whole narcissistic thing of, do you think it's making people in general, the public in general, narcissistic, where they think the world revolves around them?
I don't think it makes them narcissistic. However, it is having an impact on their ability to relate socially.
Absolutely.
And I've noticed that.
And if they are already narcissistic, it's an enabler.
Yes.
But I think
Amplifier.
the social
It's an
implications are significant.
Well, but however, let me be the detracting voice here, because I think this is probably
time.
one of the most important developments in human history. The ability to have, there's a good side to this. In the palm of your hand, your child now has access to all the information that's ever been published in humanity's history.
And yet we use it to look at cat pictures.
Yet we use it to look at cat pictures. But the point of the matter is, we are still developing our ability to deal with this. Something that we needed to go to the library, to go to the reference center, or to the reference section, to spend hours and hours on end, is now available within a few clicks. We shouldn't discount that.
And I
Very,
don't,
very
But you
I
good.
still
don't
need to
discount
have
that.
a command of language. You still need to understand how to communicate with somebody. You still need to know how to read nonverbals, know how to read body language, know how to have a face-to-face conversation with somebody, and
But
actually.
the answer to that is not to cut it off. The answer to that is the fact that as a society, we need to develop our ability to deal with it. And cutting things off is not the answer.
But not cutting it off, but sometimes don't you have to just limit?
Yes, limit, absolutely.
All right, last word on that. Up next, the battle against ISIS rages on. We'll talk about the recent death of a Navy SEAL when we come back.